All right, so we brought him in early.
Okay.
I had to bring the guy in early here. We've already talked enough about you, Mr. O'Byrne, Seth O'Byrne, president of the O'Byrne team, who was with me last night at the little Faulkner event. Welcome to the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so we got a lot to talk with you about. You got a new ebook out. You're dominating the real estate market. Did, what, over 100 deals in 2013?
140.
140 deals. So, a proverbial whale.
Yeah, there he is.
So we're going to go deep on real estate with Seth. All right. So you're a real estate expert. You know what's going on in the marketplace. You're doing a lot of coastal business yourself, a lot of these high-end properties, multi-million dollars. I got to ask you, what do you think that house was worth? And if you're just joining us, this is a house that Seth and I were invited to last night. Kevin Faulkner was doing a little get-together, raise some money, for his campaign. I was honored to be invited. I didn't donate because I can't position myself that way, but it was nice to be a part of it. But you being in that house, let's start with describe the house, and then I'd love to get your take on what you even think that property was worth.
How much do I need to save up for a down payment?
A little bit.
Craig, I need a raise.
How big is that piggy bank?
I don't think a house like that you're going to save up for a down payment on. That's one of those properties you either pay cash or you don't. It was custom built by the homeowner, and we went on that tour. The tour alone of that property probably took us a full hour, and we only saw about half. And it wasn't that large; it was just that detailed.
It's honestly worth going through some of the details of this home.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in some pretty fancy homes, but some of the intricate details of this thing were unbelievable. So let's do this. When we come back, we're going to talk about this house. I'd love to get your feel for what the value of this property is. And, of course, I want to get your idea of what you think's happening in the 2014 real estate market, what people need to look out for. Seth O'Byrne, president of the O'Byrne team.
Yeah, and I want to talk to him a little bit about your youth. I see that you grew up on a 21-acre farm in Olympia, Washington. That's cool. I'm from Minnesota,
he's a farm boy.
Looking forward to talking to you about that too. So it's good to have you in studio.
Yeah, no, Seth is he's one of a kind, and if you have any questions with anything in real estate, he's a great guy to connect with. What's a good website for people to go to if they want to learn more about you?
SethSold.com.
SethSold.com.
Perfect.
Easy enough. You can do it from your smartphone. SethSold.com. Connect with them there. All right, when we come back, we can get into the real estate market and talk about this house in La Jolla with Seth O'Byrne. Back in a moment.
All right, cool.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have Seth O'Byrne, president of the O'Byrne team, one of the real estate elite from the American Dream. He's going to be on here this Saturday at 9 a.m. UTTV. Excited about that. So we'll dive into the things that Seth's going to touch up on here in just a moment, preview this ebook that you have. But again, if you are just joining us, last night Seth and I were able to go to this event for Kevin Faulkner, a little money-raising, fundraising deal, and we were in this multi-million-dollar house, just a gorgeous house right there on what street was that?
Neptune, right in front of the Wind and Sea Hut.
Neptune. Now, I don't even,
that's real estate.
I know real
right
estate, I know finance, I know business, but when we're getting a tour of the house, listen to this, Steve. And the guy, it's not even him giving us a tour. It's like, this is a guy who works for me. He'll give you the tour. And he gives us a tour. He's like, oh, this right here?
Yeah.
This is a tree that is going extinct in Hawaii. And this tree, I'm not kidding you.
They made the shoe closet out of that tree.
It's going extinct, so your knee-jerk reaction to a tree going extinct is like, well, that's not right. Well, it got blown over in a hurricane.
Right.
And so he got the tree that was knocked over and let it still be to good use. And whoever's going to tour, Luke was like, What do you Google that? Like, how do you find? How do you find it? That's one example. Yeah, that was the shoe closet.
that was the shoe closet.
Explain this house.
I need a shoe closet
made of a extinct tree from Hawaii.
Yeah, right.
What else? Tell us more. Tell us from your expertise. So, I really want to know what you saw when you're walking around. Let's say he was selling that house and you were his listing agent, which. If this guy was going to sell his house, Seth,
there's your guy right there. So you might have been blown away, Craig. Nothing against you, but Seth, you probably see stuff like this. As on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Well, so to be totally frank, I mean, there's not enough words in the thesaurus. But from a technical perspective, you walk up to this property and there's individual stones which make the walkway over a river. Mind you, this is in what could be considered, it's almost like an urban section of Wind and Sea.
Sure.
They're all 4,000 square foot lots right across the street from the beach. World-class wave. But there's a little individual river that they somehow snaked into the entrance. You walk over these individual stones, and the whole door is LED, which lights up in different tones as you open it.
I'm not trying to skip ahead. Tell them about the steam room door.
Oh, the steam room door. The steam room door was unbelievable. But what I want to talk about is there was an entire wall of onyx that had backlit LED lights that light up different sections of the. I mean, it was in
The steam room door, Steve, you can't see in, but if you're in it, you can see out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right on.
No looking in here.
Right.
What's going on in there, guys? I'll tell you exactly what's going on in there.
Right.
There was a staircase that was individually, each stair was a piece of glass which was lit up by a different color as you walked up to the bedroom. It was unbelievable.
Tell them about the upper deck.
The upper deck was one large pool separated with another hot tub. It had individual small little lights that were meant to mimic in the bottom of the pool what it would look like looking at the starry sky. And
the stars were out last night.
The stars were out last night.
It was a beautiful sky last night.
Right on.
A sky you don't necessarily always see in San Diego. I mean, it was a great night.
Cool.
And you could also, if you wanted the pool to become a hot tub, within about 5 minutes you could heat up the entire pool and hot tub all to the same temperature, which he said that they do many times. They turn an entire pool into
Do you
a hot
see
tub.
what I mean? The inner hater came out. I've been jealous of another man before.
And I can see
something came over me.
Yeah, and I can see Seth, the way that he's talking about this thing is that maybe you don't see something like this every day. This was truly something special. But going back to what you, excuse me, Seth, going back to what you do on a regular basis, do you have a pool of clientele that you can reach out to when these things come available on the market? How does that work?
That's a really good question. I mean, I cut my teeth in La Jolla at Remax right on Prospect, and now I'm with Sotheby's International.
Okay.
And, we do deal with a lot of high-end clients, but that's a very rare and unique property. One of the challenges of a property like that, and the answer is yes, we do have a pool of buyers looking for specific properties, but one of the hurdles I think a property like that would have to overcome is not that many people want to be in a fishbowl on a major road in what probably is a $12 million property. Most people
Is that where you think 12 mil on that thing?
Yeah. I
Remember earlier when he said you don't get financing for that? That means someone's paying cash.
Right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Seth truly is an expert, though. I mean, if you have a high-end property, Seth, you see him in Dream Home all the time. He's going to be on the American Dream this weekend. Go to SethSold.com. He's also got his ebook. I'd love to give out some of your ebooks today. If you text book, we'll send you a copy of Seth's ebook. Just text the word book and tell us what's in it here. But real quick, text the word book to 619-846-9333. 619-846-9333. Text book. Love to get that out to you. But Seth, what's in this book?
Yeah. So the basic premise of the book, it's called Building a Story, is over the last 11 years, as you know, Craig, I've been building our team, the O'Byrne team with Sotheby's. And
I've watched it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched Seth for years.
I saw the picture of it, and I want to hang it on my wall.
I'm going to tell you a quick story here, not to interrupt you, Seth, but I think it's really relevant. How many times have you heard me talk about Bob Bodine, the author of The Power of Who?
Yes, sir.
Sports Illustrated guy, nominated or recognized as being the most influential guy in sports. This years ago, I had really kind of new to the San Diego marketplace. I knew Bob, and he was looking to buy a house out here. And I started reaching around because Bob's book is called The Power of Who. And he's like, well, Craig, who can you help me with Align in Real Estate? And I'm getting to know the market a little bit.
You love that question, don't you?
Well, now it's easy. But then I had to figure it out.
Sure.
Start asking around to different people. And Seth is the guy.
There you go.
The guy recommended to me.
Okay.
And that's who I ended up recommending this office to. I don't think he ended up buying it for his daughter going to SDSU. But still, that's the kind of presence he has in the market. I've watched Seth for years. And I mean, 2013, you guys just did an unbelievable job. A lot of momentum coming in this year. It's going to be cool having you on the show this weekend. But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah. So, like any small business, we've been through a lot of stages, and we've been through the recession. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
But
Still clawing.
but, we started in 2003, and we've been through a lot of metamorphoses, and over the last 11 years of training about 36 agents, we've learned best practices.
Yeah.
And this book is it's geared towards agents, but I think it's good for home sellers, homeowners, buyers to read, and also to know what to expect from a good realtor out there in the market.
I'd like to hear what you expect out of 2014, but I do want to give our audience an opportunity, if they want the book, to text the word book. We could email this to you since it's an ebook.
Sure could.
It's really simple. You could
Starts out with a story, and you're truly a remarkable young man, and about how you grew up and who your parents were, and it really paints a picture just in the first 3 pages about who you are and the ethics that you have, and I could have a feeling that working with you has just got to be something pretty special.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
He's really elite. If you text the word book, 619-846-9333. We also got a lot of response to our newsletter that we sent out this morning offering the free property evaluation.
Right.
If you want to save spending $500 on an appraisal, we would love to have one of our elite, Seth is, you're downtown, but you're all the way up the coast, give you a free understanding of what the value of your home is. You can email me directly, craig@craigsewing.com. We'd be happy to generate that for you. Of course, you can text the word value as well, 619-846-9333. So someone like Seth, he's tough to get in here. 2014, we got a lot of people that listen to the show that own real estate, want to know what's happening. 20% appreciation last year in some markets, overheating, real estate bubble, doom and gloom. What do we need to expect?
That's a great question. I mean, as you know, Craig, that's a question I'm asked every day. I've been in 2 living rooms before this show answering that same exact question to homeowners. And, what I found is the market had been waiting. I think of it as almost being dunked underwater and waiting to breathe.
Yeah.
We have been waiting to breathe. We've been waiting to buy real estate for almost 5 years. And this was our first true real market. And because of that, I think we saw an overactive market all the way into June when most of our properties were getting 10, 20, sometimes 30 offers.
Crazy.
So once we hit that peak in July, I believe that caused a reasonable fallback, meaning, any overheated market's got to cool.
Sure.
And so, government shutdown, rising rates, holidays. I think we lost some of the gains that we saw in July coming into the holidays. I think a lot of what spring's going to be about is trying to get back to those 2013 peak prices first before we worry about how to exceed 2013 values. So
I like the discussion from the point of view, it's kind of like the psychology of the market.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just the timing of the market, how it heated up, cooled down. Good analogies there as well. Seth, glad to have you a part of the American Dream. What are we going to talk about on the show this weekend?
We're going to talk about Solana Beach.
Solana Beach.
Excellent. Love it. Love Solana Beach.
Haven't hit that yet on the TV
Yeah,
show.
that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Good market.
So you're going to focus on Solana Beach. Now, you have a lot of niche markets you guys focus on. It's all on your website. I was looking around there the other day. They got all these videos of these different micro markets in San Diego. A great website for you to visit today is SethSold.com. Seth, appreciate you coming in here today.
Thank you.
Great job. Steve Kane.
Yes, sir.
Got Bill Exeter.
We sure do.
Tax time.
1031
exchange. All right, we're going to get into some of this tax up here on the Craig Sewing Show in just a moment.
All right, cool.
$12 million property.
Yeah, $12 million property. I hope that doesn't turn into smoke on the water.
Jeez.
Yeah, is that the song Mr. Exeter wanted? Is that the one he wanted to
Is
requested?
that Bill Exeter's song?
I don't know.
He
I don't
was
think I
pumping his
requested that
fist.
one.
we got to get you an intro song.
Yeah, we
Hey,
do.
that could work. That could work.
All right, so we just had Seth O'Byrne talking about the real estate market and what do you think is going to happen in 2014. Seth is going to continue to stay with us. He works with a lot of investors, and right now we're looking at, January 14th, so it's tax time. It's time to really start focusing on, the things that we are spending our money on. How can we reduce our tax liability? Brought you in here specifically to speak to the 1031 exchange, which goes hand in hand with Seth, because as you're talking about real estate, 1031 exchange plays with it. So just for any new audience members, can you re-explain what the 1031 is so everybody understands?
Sure. The 1031 exchange allows the investor the ability to sell an asset, usually real estate, and trade up and defer the payment of their capital gain taxes and depreciation recapture taxes through the 1031 exchange. So a perfect example would be somebody who bought a single-family property years ago. It's gone up in value. Now they're ready for a duplex or a fourplex or eightplex, what have you. If they had to sell that single family, pay the tax, it'd be very difficult to trade up in value because you lose a third of your profit to the government. So 1031 keeps all the money working for you. You don't have to pay the tax, and you're a much better position to trade up in value.
Now, actually, I just heard in between the commercial break, one of the cool things that always happens on the show is when we have like-minded professionals coming in and talking about, the things that I think fall under consumer advocacy, which is my job.
Right.
is some of the exchanges you have. And Seth, you actually just had a recent client that you referred into Exeter 1031.
Yes, I did. And in fact, it might be a good example to talk about.
Sure.
Let it rip.
So I just made a referral over to Exeter actually just this morning, an hour ago before the show. Not even knowing we'd be on the show together. But essentially, he purchased a property as an income home.
Now, this is your client.
Yes.
Okay. Investor.
So he bought it. He bought it as a primary residence. There's a back unit that he started renting out. He decided to move up to North County. He rented out the front unit as well. So he actually only occupied it for about a month of the last 2 years that he's owned it. Now he's looking to sell that property. He's got married. He got married and he wants to buy a primary residence. And he said, well, am I protected under 121? Can I do a 1031? What are my options to get this equity out of this property and get it into a nice big house? Because now he's married.
Sure. So you referred it. Now what's important, I think, Steve, for everybody to understand is that Seth referred it to a top tier professional. It's Seth also doesn't do mortgages, but he can refer you to a great mortgage planner or a CPA or a financial advisor. It's kind of, as a realtor, you're really the hub of the wheel. A lot of people come to you for that information. So on something like that, you take the handoff. You don't have to talk necessarily specifically about that case, as the timeline of events from somebody who is selling that property that doesn't want to pay those capital gains. Bill, can you break that down?
Sure. And in fact, that's a good question because a lot of times people wait to the last minute and they've got to know that you have to have the 1031 exchange set up and in place prior to close of escrow. And in fact, this week we've gotten 2 calls already for people to say, well, I closed last week, but I told escrow, hold the money, I'm going to do an exchange. As soon as they close, they have the right to the money. It's too late, and it's a taxable transaction, and that hurts.
The IRS has the right to the money?
No, as soon as the taxpayer has the right to the money. So escrow closes, they could say, give me the money. And instead, if they say, don't give me the money, I'm going to do an exchange, it's still too late because they closed on escrow, taxpayer has the right to the money. So they have to have the exchange set up and in place. The qualified intermediary has to be assigned into the transaction before closing.
Now, so there's a timeline of events to make sure it happens properly so that you reduce your tax liability. But what do you do for some of these investors to help identify some of the move up, the bigger, because it has to be a bigger and better property, correct?
Yeah, if they want to defer everything, they have to trade equal or up in value. And most investors want to do that. Either they're buying more units or a larger property or more square footage or what have you.
Okay. Now, how do you identify those things in this market? How is the San Diego marketplace for some of these properties, duplexes, fourplexes, commercial? I think, Seth, you can definitely chime in here as well. Absolutely.
I mean, we act as the qualified intermediary, and they usually by the time they get to us, they're already working directly with the realtor. And that's how they're going to find their replacement property is working directly with their contacts already. So Seth would be the perfect guy to talk to and get them looking at what's available.
How is the market for these income-producing properties right now? I'm someone who owns a few duplexes, so I always like the idea of buying multi-units. I think it's a great opportunity to leverage. Mine are financed, not like this $12 million. See, again, I feel small here today after talking about that $12 million property. I have financed duplexes. I think I paid $200,000 for them.
Yeah, I asked him how much I needed to save for a down payment. He just looked at me and said, if you're asking that question, you just go someplace else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what is the market like in San Diego for these cash flow properties? Because obviously property values are higher, which might make it a little bit tougher to find that cash flow if you don't put enough money down.
Yeah, that's a great point. San Diego is one of the largest counties in the country. So one of the things that's nice about that is there's a lot of options. People who live in San Diego want to keep rental properties close to where they live. There's a lot of options for you, specifically going east. East is where you're going to find stuff that's going to have better cap rates, going to cash flow better. And also, investors capitalize on times of uncertainty. So, it might be a good time to initiate 1031 when you can sell your property for a huge value over the spring. But as we come into next year and rates come up, it might be a great way to capitalize on uncertainty and get a really motivated seller to give you a property.
Well, you have a team here that could actually help you do it. Sure. Seth can help locate some of the properties. Bill can help facilitate the process, the exchange. Can you hit home on some of the numbers, Bill? I know you've done it before, but we always have people coming and going, and it never gets old for me.
I'm
just
looking
getting
forward
frustrated on how capital gains work and some of these other taxes.
I know that working with Seth and Seth, tying the knot with the Exeter 1031 and doing those things, those are for their clients before it's too late. I know that you guys have a lot of those stories. I'm just sitting here thinking about the people that don't know about it or don't have somebody like Seth watching their back as the hub of the wheel and introducing them to Exeter 1031
Well,
before. I bet there's so many terrible stories out there. People just losing, so much
last
money.
week you asked me my opinion of getting your real estate license and who carries real estate licenses. and I played the sheep button.
Right.
Now, that's because getting into the space isn't necessarily very difficult, but to be of Seth stature,
Yeah.
let's say that 5 times fast.
Okay.
Seth stature.
Different deal.
It's a whole different ballgame to be president of your own team, to have multiple agents that answer to you, and to actually understand those spokes I was referring to.
Right.
That's a whole different league of
Got
agent.
it.
And you ever heard the deal 80-20? 20% of a company does 80% of the production. Real estate's like 90-10.
Got it.
So it's tough to find that elite group, and certainly the group that we've narrowed down, the television show too. And that's what he does. He doesn't try and necessarily understand it all, but he has partners like Bill and other components as well. And, you mentioned mistakes. What mistakes are people making? What mistakes are professionals making in this space?
A lot of times they just forget to mention the 1031 exchange to the client. And that's a lot of times where we get the phone call where they go, I closed last week, and how come nobody told me about it?
Seth, do you see that?
Yes, absolutely.
And our phone call is, well, it's too late, it's taxable, and here's what your percentages
Wouldn't that
are.
be 101 if you're a realtor and you're selling an investment property, to just know that you should at least bring up the question around a 1031?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's a very good point. And more realtors now are becoming more sophisticated when it comes to 1031 exchanges. But I think one of the issues with residential real estate is there's many residential brokers that have no know-how when it comes to income properties.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's many income properties that everyday people like you or I, Craig, would want to purchase, but they're going to be too small for the commercial brokers who are educated, but maybe outside of the expertise of residential brokers who just aren't quite there.
So there's
yet.
a gap there.
There's a gap, and it's the 2 to 4 units. There's a gap of experience and then a gap of interest.
And I think that is where most of our listeners might fall in that gap. I mean, if you're
Absolutely.
talking about, how much can you buy a duplex, fourplex for in San Diego?
You could buy a duplex in some areas. Crime might be an issue that you'd want to talk to your realtor about, but from 120,000.
Well, just send the realtor in there and be like, hey, go check this out. Don't wear red or blue.
I certainly have a different set of clothes I've worn before. But I would say you could buy a duplex starting at $250,000 in some areas of San Diego.
Wow.
So you could buy I sold a fourplex in National City that rents for $800 a door. That's $3,200 a month, and I sold it for $250,000 at the deepest recesses of the market. So that person did a 1031 exchange, $250,000, and they cash flow $3,200 a month every month.
So you see people make some mistakes. What have you seen people get stung for? I want to hear some horror stories, Bill.
The worst one gets
worst
a
of the best,
$100
the best
gift
of the worst,
certificate to
yeah.
Torrey Pines Transportation, by the way.
Yeah, how about that?
Right?
Yeah, we have to give that out, I think, as well for, what was it, Amy? Amy, our associate producer. What was it for?
The New Year's
The New Year's resolution.
Yeah, we
The
got to give that
newsletter
prize
went
away before we're done.
And a lot of people reached out for the free property evaluation, but give us a horror story.
I think the worst horror story is when they call and tell you they sold already, and then you have to have the conversation of, well, here's your tax liability.
Oh, my goodness.
And at the federal level now, it's gotten a lot more complicated after January 1st. And you've got the Obamacare tax, and you've got different layers of capital gain taxes. So it could be as high as 23.8% today.
So what are the differences in the tax rates if you don't follow this properly? And then also get into the Obamacare taxes. Nobody realizes that's
Snuck
even
that
there.
sucker into the code.
Now, is that only tied to investment properties, or is that something you're going to see on primary residences as well?
It's going to kick in on primary residences if you've got a taxable gain. So the Obamacare tax really applies to any kind of passive income, interest income, dividend income, capital gain on the sale of property, things like that. And it's going to be based on your adjusted gross income. So if you're a married couple and your adjusted gross income is over $250,000, any type of interest or dividend or gain over $250,000 is subject to the Obamacare tax, and that's the 3.8%. People call it the Medicare tax or surcharge tax or Obamacare tax, but
What do you call it?
That's what I was
we
gonna
have
say.
many names for it.
Well, you guys are going to be on the American Dream this weekend, a show we're really proud of because we're bringing the best in their respective space of real estate into the show and the financial sector. I'd like to just get an idea of what you're going to be talking about, what we can really quote unquote tease the audience with, so they'll join us on Saturday at 9 a.m. Get to see you guys, not just hear you here today, but see you on Saturday at 9 a.m. UTTV. Seth, real estate, what are we going to hit on?
So we're gonna hone in laser focused on Solana Beach. We think it's
Solana Beach, micro market.
Micro market. We think it's a great market for people to own primary residences. There are some income property opportunities there, but we really want to focus on the community of Solana Beach and kind of talk about what the lifestyle is there, what it offers, the amenities, the school districts, that kind of stuff.
So you're narrowed down. You're going to be on the show all year long. So I love that you're getting specific, hitting the bullseye.